A wise man once said, the closer Bitcoin is to bottoming, the more milk stains you'll find on your trousers. Let's just say I hope we're close to a bottom. Guys, exactly as we discussed in yesterday's video, as Bitcoin approached that key $34,000 level, it got rejected. And on this 4-hour chart, this 21 moving average has been providing immense resistance for Bitcoin's price. And as well, exactly as we talked about in yesterday's video, getting pushed down to 32,500 for quite a long time. So basically what I'm saying here is if we end up pulling up here over the next few hours and maybe getting a small rejection there and coming back down to 32.5, don't panic, guys. That is part of regaining some upside momentum. That's just a scenario that I think that I could see playing out, and I could see people panicking about that, so I'm just trying to address that. As you can see, after we failed holding this 21 moving average on this 1-hour chart, Bitcoin took a little bit of a tumble, and now we are in munch or crunch time 2.0. And go figure, where Bitcoin has bottomed so far on this daily candle is exactly where we expect on this daily chart. Let's dump in. Welcome back, Savage Squad. I'm your host, Barbara Boinkage, and we have so much to be delving into today with Bitcoin's price, guys. We have actually a lot of very, very interesting technical analysis to be jumping into today with Bitcoin, as this is truly a time that you need to be oogling these charts. So guys, without wasting too much time, make sure to hit that like, and if you're new, make sure to hit that subscribe, and make sure to turn on that bell notification so you get access to these time-sensitive, urgent, critical breaking news updates. And without any further skadoosh, let's get milking. Unbelievable, guys. So as we talked about in yesterday's video, we specifically gave out a warning as Bitcoin approached $34,000, not to be alarmed if in fact in the very short term we pulled back to the $32,500 area. And as you can see, we battled that over and over and multiple times over the night. This is on the hourly chart, many times. But as you can see, something critical happened and we've actually plummeted below that. Currently, we're trading slightly above 32,000, still in critical crunch zone. But we have a lot of things to dive into on exactly why this is happening and what it means for Bitcoin over the next week. So if you take a look on this chart, you can see we're creeping up to this next fib level of about 34,100, the 0.382 here. Very important level, but you notice we didn't quite get up to it. So if you're taking a look at this 1-hour chart and you're wondering why we didn't actually get all the way up there, you transition to the 4-hour chart and it shows you exactly why there was so much immense resistance there, right? After on this 4-hour chart, we bounced above our key fib level that correlates to roughly 32,500 on this chart. You can see immediately where we faced resistance was this 21 moving average on the 4-hour chart. Now, yesterday in our video, Bitcoin was right about here. Okay, it was right about 33,000 US dollars. We were basically saying, don't be surprised if we get up to about 34,000 and get pushed back down to 35. Okay, and one of the main reasons for saying that is because on this 1-hour chart, we were above our two most key moving averages, so that was good. But then the next thing we had to look for was the 4-hour chart's moving averages, which was right here. We wanted to see if we had enough momentum to break that, and guys, we didn't. You see, that's exactly where we got rejected, and not only one time. This happened many times over these 4-hour candles, right? We come right up to it, face immediate red candle rejection here. You see, get pushed back to about 32.5, this center area here. This was kind of like the pivot area where Bitcoin was fluctuating slightly above and slightly below for a lot of 4-hour candles here. But then you see another attempt immediately rejected right there. Okay, you see the rejection immediately also rejected right at this level. So right now, what we're doing is battling the $32,500 level, and more specifically on this 4-hour chart, we're trying to break above this 21 moving average. And are we still above the 21 and 50 moving average on the hourly chart now? Since we got rejected on the 4-hour, are we still in a good position? Well, technically now, we've actually gotten pushed below the 21 moving average. And even for a time, we actually plummeted below the 50-day. Currently, we're above that. And you can see, as I'm recording this video, over the last 5 or 6 hours, we've been in crunch zone between the 21 and 50 moving average for Bitcoin. So if you're wondering what Bitcoin is doing right now, my best way of stating what it's doing is it's currently battling these absolutely key, very short-term moving averages. More importantly, what needs to happen if we want to get bullish is just break literally just maybe like $100 above where we currently are to about 32,370-ish, 32,400. Then we'll at least be above these moving averages. But again, remember, 32,500 is the absolute key zone that we talk talked about in yesterday's video. And more importantly, now at this point, this 21 moving average on the 4-hour chart is coming down to meet this $32,500 level. So this is going to be the true test. This is going to be playing out over the next few hours to see if Bitcoin can actually cement and get above 32,500, roughly 32,500, 32,600, basically just get above this moving average, which changes every single 4-hour candle, right? So this is going to fluctuate. But guys, also critical to note, if we go to our daily chart, where is Bitcoin holding? You guessed it, it immediately came down exactly to our same line here, which we've been talking about for months, this channel specifically, and that's where we've gotten that bounce so far. So again, this is we're still in the battle zone. We're not out of the woods at all. So that's why I'm trying to give you this warning and give you these targets to look for, because we're still in a critical crunch zone. We are not above the 21-day moving average, and we're in between the 21-day and the 50-day moving average. So these are two absolutely key, absolutely very important moving averages and very important price levels that Bitcoin has to conquer for it to continue heading up here. Specifically, 36,000 is the target we look for to get bullish in the short term. But as I'm recording this, we're a couple $1,000s away from that. So still a pretty high task for Bitcoin to get above that. Good news, though, is that Ethereum is actually above its 21-day moving average. And in fact, coins like Chainlink actually set a new all-time high yesterday. So this is good. So as Bitcoin has been continuing to consolidate in a healthy manner, keep in mind, all of the downside and all of the consolidation we've seen with Bitcoin is more than healthy, right? Bitcoin could still go, a couple $1,000s lower, and it would still be normal consolidation after a absolutely massive run up that we've seen lately. So if we actually take a zoom out here, guys, let's be objective. Like, what is actually going on here? Since the beginning, or since about the middle of October, Bitcoin was in a trend, and that trend was to the upside. So you always hear the trend is your friend until the end. Well, that trend absolutely was true. If you go back to the middle of October, from about $11,000 per Bitcoin, the trend was your friend, and the trend above the 21-day moving average was absolutely to the upside. You see it here, above, riding on this blue 21-day moving average the entire time. And the question you might be having is, well, how do we know when the trend ends, right? If you're looking at a trend, how do we know when it ends? Well, two things. You take a look, this very steep trend was one of the first signs that we were breaking the trend. And then ultimately, guys, breaking the 21-day moving average that we did just a few days ago, to me is the ultimate confirmation that yes, this in fact is truly a different trend for right now. So as of right now, the trend looks to the downside. However, I would caution this, and that is, are we actually forming some sort of bullish structure here, right? A downward consolidation that ultimately could lead into a massive bullish break. And ultimately, I think that is exactly what's happening. So ultimately, what I'm saying is, even though the trend in the short term right now has obviously been down since about January 9th, so for the past 14 days, for the past 2 weeks, the trend technically has been down, and you can see that illustrated here, right? It's been a downtrend, lower highs, and the lows have been kind of weird. But ultimately, I do think exactly what's happening is just a bearish consolidation in a wider context, very bullish market, very bullish structure that's being formed here for Bitcoin. But when we zoom in and we look at these things on smaller time frames and we try to analyze, like, well, okay, if this is bullish, when are we going to break out? When are we going to go to the upside? That is exactly why I start on these smaller time frames. These small battles that we're seeing on this hourly chart, then the 4-hour, then the 6-hour chart. Everything you're seeing that's shaping up on these smaller time frames ultimately leads us to be able to tell us, okay, well then this is when we might be able to expect a bullish revisit to the 21-day moving average, and then breakage at the 21-day moving average, and then ultimately, a return to all-time highs and new all-time highs. And as of right now, we still have some critical battles ahead of us. Specifically, we need to flip back above 32.5, and then flipping back above 34,000, if we transition to the 4-hour chart, specifically this 21 moving average here. And then also ultimately the biggest test is going to be breaking 36,000 US dollars, regaining this level here, and more importantly, just regaining the 21-day moving average, which again is also very confluent with the very top line of our 11-month ascending structure that we have on the chart here for Bitcoin. That Bitcoin has just been incredibly controlled by in terms of price, resistance, and support based on these lines, right? Every time Bitcoin comes in contact with any of these lines, basically every time Bitcoin comes in contact with one of these lines over the last 11 months, it has been a huge level of resistance or a huge level of support. And we've seen that play out live over the past few days. So this is going to be key. You see, today we bounced exactly at this next line. So again, we can't really tell too much about what's happening until we see what is happening on there, or what actually plays out on these shorter term time frames. So guys, for example, if Bitcoin actually gets rejected right here as we're now touching it, as I'm actually talking about it live on this video, if we get rejected at this 50 moving average here on this hourly chart, then again, that in the short term looks more bearish for Bitcoin. Then we can transition more to this chart, okay, and then we'll look to 30,500 again as the next level of support, because ultimately, guys, what has been happening is we've been getting rejected off of this 21 moving average on the 4-hour chart, and Bitcoin is going to be bearish in the short term until it breaks above this again, which is exactly right about $33,000 as I'm recording the video. But primarily breaking above 32.5 is just a very, very important level that we need to watch, that so far Bitcoin has not been able to really cement and hold there. So again, we're seeing this battle take place, and guys, again, like I just said, if we break below like roughly 32,000 right here, if we break below the short-term moving average, it is possible that we actually initiate more short-term dumpage. I don't personally think it would be insanely large dumpage, okay, but I personally do think it would be down to at least somewhere in just the $30,000 range, not $32,000 or $31,000, but $30,000 in that range. And guys, with all that being said, this is in the context of a very bullish scenario for Bitcoin. So basically, the way I view it, the longer that Bitcoin does consolidate, the longer that it maybe does actually make new lows or just kind of trades within a pattern like this, the longer ultimately, or the better ultimately, I think Bitcoin is going to perform as soon as we break out of it. The stronger I think Bitcoin will absolutely bust through this pattern and the entire market as well. But again, this is something that's probably not going to play out over the next 24 hours. This is something that could, take a little bit longer to play out. And what we've been seeing actually over the last about 48 hours is a little less exciting price action for Bitcoin, but we are seeing some altcoins literally hit their all-time highs, like Chainlink. Ethereum actually is doing better than Bitcoin in terms of its daily chart, because Ethereum is holding its 21-day, whereas Bitcoin has not. Bitcoin is below the 21-day. Bitcoin's 21-day moving average is about $4,000 higher than Bitcoin's price currently is. Well, so if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that like, turn on those post notifications so you get access to these time-sensitive updates as soon as they are released. And guys, for anybody with experience trading and also wanting to support the channel, there is a $620 deposit bonus there on Bybit. Never trade more than you're willing to lose, but right now is a very, very critical time for Bitcoin. A lot of people are curious, like, what is actually happening? And I tried to my best ability to kind of illustrate on the charts the little battles that are taking place. But overall, the key is the same. Do not let the FUD shake you out of your Bitcoin position.